There is a moment somewhere in the middle of a Christopher Nolan film where you realize you have stopped trying to follow the plot in the normal way. You just surrender to it. You're no longer thinking about what just happened or what is about to happen. You're letting the film happen to you the way you let a piece of music happen to you or a dream. And that's the beauty of Nolan films. You just have to go with the flow. In 2010, Inception was released, Interstellar in 2014, and Tenet in 2020. 3 films, each 4 to 6 years apart, and each marketed as a standalone original. Officially, they are not a trilogy. There is no shared character, no continuing storyline, and yet these 3 films belong together. These films are speaking to each other across a decade. If you watch them back to back in the order they were released, you are watching a filmmaker walk through a single obsession from 3 different angles until he finally exhausts it. And what is that obsession? That obsession is time. To me, Inception, Interstellar, and Tenet are the greatest science fiction trilogy ever put on screen. Not because Nolan planned it that way. He did not. Inception, Interstellar, and Tenet share a structural DNA that none of his other works share. Each one stretches time. Each one features a collaborator, a kind of guide figure. In Inception, that role is split between author and Ariadne. In Interstellar, it is stars and the older version of Cooper inside the Tesseract. In Tenet, it is Neil. They are not the same character, but they serve the same function. They already understand the rules. So let's start with Inception. The film on its surface is a heist movie. Beneath that surface, it is a film about a man dealing with the grief of losing his wife. The genius of the film is that the dream physics also double as emotional physics. The hallway scene where Otto fights an assassin in zero gravity was filmed without computer-generated imagery. Nolan built a 100-foot rotating set in a hangar outside London. Gordon Levitt trained for 2 weeks in stunt rigging. The effect when you watch it is that gravity has lost its meaning, and in losing its meaning has become an emotion rather than a force. This is what Inception does over and over. It takes a physical law of physics and turns it into a feeling. The film ends with a spinning top. Cobb leaves it on the table and walks toward his children. The camera lingers on the top. It wobbles but does not fall before the cut to black. The point is not whether he's in the dream or in reality. Nolan has said repeatedly that the point is that Cobb has stopped checking. He has chosen to live inside whatever world contains his children. 4 years later, Nolan made the same film again in a different costume. Interstellar opens on a dying Earth. Crops are failing under a mysterious blight. And to save Earth, Cooper, played by Matthew McConaughey, has to travel through a wormhole to 12 potentially habitable planets. The film is about saving the human species. Emotionally though, it is about a father who is afraid of failing his daughter. When Cooper lands on Miller's planet, every hour spent on its surface is 7 years on Earth. A small mistake, a delay of about 3 hours, costs him 23 years. He returns to the ship to find video messages from his children who have grown old waiting for him. The science of Interstellar was not invented by Nolan. It was invented by Kip Thorne, the Nobel Prize winning theoretical physicist who spent years working with the production team. The black hole was rendered using equations Thorne wrote by hand, but the physics is not the point of the film. The focus is the Tesseract. In the third act, Cooper falls into the black hole and ends up inside a 4-dimensional construct built, the film implies, by future humans. From inside this construct, you can see every moment of his daughter's bedroom across her entire life. He realizes he is the ghost. He has always been the ghost. The dust falling in patterns on Moff's floor decades earlier was him signaling backward through time. His decision to leave Earth was caused by a message he himself would later send. It is a closed loop, and the medium that allowed him to send the message, which allowed gravity to bridge the dimensions, was love. Love is the one thing we are capable of perceiving that transcends dimensions of time and space. This is the entire thesis of the film, and it is the same thesis as Inception. Cobb walks away from the spinning top because he has chosen love over reality. Cooper transmits coordinates through gravity because love is, in Nolan's universe, a physical force as legitimate as any of the others. Then next is Tenet. Tenet is the most difficult of the three to understand. The protagonist is recruited into a secret organization called Tenet. Somewhere in the future, humanity has invented the ability to move backward through time, and someone in the present is using it to assemble an algorithm that will reverse the entropy of the entire universe and end existence as we understand it. The villain has decided that if he cannot have the world, no one can. The protagonist must stop him. He is helped by Neil, played by Robert Pattinson, whose connection to the protagonist is not revealed until the final scene. Neil tells the protagonist that they have been friends for years. From Neil's perspective, he met an older version of the protagonist long ago, was recruited by him, and has spent his life moving backward toward this moment where he must die to complete the loop. This is the third version of the same thesis. In Inception, Cobb chooses love over the certainty of reality. In Interstellar, Cooper transmits love across dimensions. Neil walks calmly into a death he has known about for years because the relationship was worth it. 3 men, 3 impossible physics, 1 decision repeated. Now here's the recurring motif. In all 3 films, time is the true antagonist. In Inception, the deeper you go, the more time you have, until time becomes so plentiful that it ruins you just as it ruined Mal. In Interstellar, time is the cost of every wrong decision. In Tenet, time is the battlefield, the medium, the thing you wage war inside. Nolan has said in interviews that he has always been interested in the subjectivity of time, that all his films have an odd relationship with it, but subjectivity is not the same as physics. In these films, Nolan takes the felt subjectivity of grief and the abstract laws of theoretical physics and treats them as if they belonged to the same discipline. The science in each film is at least partly real. Inception's dream within a dream architecture is scientifically very loose but possible. Interstellar's black hole is the most accurate cinematic depiction of one ever rendered. Tenet leaned on entropy reversal. Some of these concepts are speculative, some are real. Tenet is more interested in the felt experience of inversion than in literal accuracy. You're not meant to understand everything in Tenet, you're meant to feel it. That phrase "feel it" comes directly from the script, where the scientist Barbara tells the protagonist not to try to understand inversion, only to feel it. But the same instruction could have been given to the audience of any of these 3 films. Inception treats time as something the mind warps. Interstellar treats time as something physics warps. Tenet treats time as something a sufficiently advanced future civilization can warp on purpose with hardware. So subjective, then physical, then mechanical. Nolan has never confirmed any of this, but to me, these connections are real. Like and subscribe if you enjoyed this video. See you in the next one.